A warning tonight from health officials in Virginia and across the country. The Commonwealth seeing an uptick in cases of a parasite-linked illness spread through contaminated food or even water. Roxanne Roger has been digging into this one. She's live in Arlington County with the symptoms you need to know about. Sharon.
Yeah, Kenneth, most people have not heard of cyclosporiasis, and if they get it, they think it's another foodborne illness or a stomach bug. But there are now hundreds of cases being reported across the country, from Michigan to Texas to New York, and some cases here in Virginia. And doctors say that this parasite can cause you to get sick for weeks if this is not diagnosed properly and treated.
The biggest clue is diarrhea that does not go away. So a typical stomach bug often improves after a couple of days, kind of on its own. Cyclospora can, as you said, cause watery diarrhea, cramping, bloating, fatigue, nausea, sometimes vomiting, and it can last for days to weeks if it goes untreated. So symptoms can also come and go, which can make people think that they're actually getting better, and then they suddenly feel sick again.
Yeah, cyclosporiasis is an intestinal infection caused by a microscopic parasite. People usually become infected after eating contaminated fresh produce or drinking contaminated water that might have been exposed to feces. Doctors say they typically see more cases during the spring and summer months when people are eating more fresh fruits, vegetables, herbs, and salads, and also people are traveling internationally more. This year, health officials say cases are running higher than normal across the country. The Virginia Department of Health says it is seeing an uptick in cases, roughly 10 cases so far this year. But officials believe the true number may be higher because many foodborne illnesses go unreported. They aren't seeing a single cluster of cases in Virginia, and investigators have not been able to link the illness to a specific food or restaurant or grocery store. And with no single source identified, health officials tonight say the best defense right now is to take a few simple precautions at home.
Yeah, so the biggest thing to prevent cyclosporiasis is to wash all fruits and vegetables thoroughly under running water before eating, cutting, or cooking them. Of course, we always emphasize the importance of hand washing with soap and water before and after preparing foods and after using the bathroom or changing diapers.
And health officials warn if you have some of these symptoms, especially the watery diarrhea for more than a day, you should go checked out because there are treatments, specifically a prescription antibiotic. Also a reminder, if you are traveling internationally, Kenneth, to not eat raw foods or uncooked foods and not drink untreated water.